Okay, I'd like to call our meeting to order, Town of Southington Board of Finance meeting. Today is January 10th, 2024, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Mr. Bose?
Mr. Lebenek.
Here.
Mr. Pocock Jr.
Here.
Mr. Bodwin.
He is not here.
Ms. Mazzarella.
Here.
Mr. Stanforth.
Present.
Chair Leary.
Yes.
5 present. You have a quorum.
Perfect, thank you very much. We want to approve the minutes from December 13th, 2023.
2023, yeah, that's a
Just
typo.
make a little typo.
Got a little carried away.
Do we have a motion?
I make
Should-
a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any corrections to the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstains. All right, the minutes carry 5-0. They're now official. Approve the minutes of the executive session, which are included in the packet. Just says who went in there.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstains? Okay, they carry 5-0. Next section here, financial assessment of the town. Let's talk about revenues. Looks like you just handed out, Jim, that we're
That's
2.2 million ahead in revenue.
for the major items, yes. There's a couple small items where we're lagging a little bit here or there, but for the most part, the big indicators, the big guys are the ones that are on that sheet.
And of that, the biggest one being interest income, 1.9 million from interest on our investment.
Interest income and second by building department fees, yeah.
Yeah. That's an upside, right? Sometimes things come as bad news, things come as good news, but that's good. Are there any questions on revenue from anybody? Just so everybody knows, this revenue wasn't budgeted, so it doesn't have any expenses associated with it. So it's likely this revenue will head straight to a surplus at the end of the fiscal year,
Or budget reallocation.
or a budget reallocation. But it is a little bit of positive news. On the expense side, what do we got going on the expense side?
Mr. Chairman, what you see in front of you tonight, an agenda item with regard to the legal matter that Mr. Shota and Corp Counsel Ricardone has discussed, or have discussed for the last couple of months, the case with regards to AMS, AMR, sorry about that. Yeah, so that's about the only line item right now that has that's showing material problems. And obviously, that's being addressed by the board again tonight. So, with
Okay.
that, there's really nothing out there right now. Thankfully, so far, the expense side.
Okay. Any questions on expenses? I was not able to connect to the internet, so I might need a little bit of help here because I did not print the packet. Yeah, I have the agenda, just not the packet. So, review of the contingency items. Could you review contingency? Oh,
Sure.
I got it here.
Just take it, John. I'll share with you.
All right. Just got to review contingency.
Did that, Jim. We just reviewed contingency. That was the.
That was the only, you're just
The
talking
MR,
about the
yep.
legal fee
Yep.
coming out?
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
that's
All
correct.
right, I'll let it be. I
Yep.
hope we still have the opportunity to increase the contingency to where we want it for our budget, but
That is our goal.
but
this
we
year, Mr.
hopefully will see how tight we are going in. Okay, we'll pass through the contingency. Capital projects, I see we have them here.
Yes, you have the capital projects fund 400, as we call it, for the quarter ended 12/31/2023 in front of you. And if you compare that to the last time, you'll see pretty close to $900,000 more spent since the last quarter. So busy quarter of expenditures and purchase orders, if you will, for the capital projects fund. So
So if
if
we
there's
just
any,
read it from the bottom, if we just read it from the bottom line, what's it telling us? 86 million appropriated, so we have approval to spend 86, right? The total project's expenditures, now this says through 6/30, I think you're saying it should be 12/31?
no, actually, I start with the year before and then move column by column, if you just go along there. There's a reason why I do this, because I use that report for a couple different reasons. So those first two columns, the appropriation balance and the projects through expenditures through June 30th, 2023, fiscal 23. Then if you move ahead, keep moving to the right, that's your activity for 23, 24, both the revenue column and the expenditure column. Go down a little farther, the encumbrances, AKA the purchase orders, and all the way down to the unencumbered balance at 12/31/2023.
Okay, so, let me start again here. So the ending balance at 2023 is 45 million appropriated, 23 million encumbered, meaning committed to, and 22 million to go.
That's on purchase orders, correct.
Okay.
The 23 is on purchase orders, yeah.
You meaning we're
Encumbered.
I understand.
Encumbered, and the 22 million plus is what's authorized but not yet spent or encumbered.
It doesn't mean we've released the purchase orders to the vendors, but purchase orders are in place and we can spend. The permission to spend is available because the POs.
No, those POs have actually been issued.
Okay, so vendors have them.
Correct.
Okay, got it. And it leaves us 22 million to spend if we need to on these various projects.
Correct.
All right. Any questions from anybody?
Is this all the capital projects, is the whole fund, or just the?
These are all of the capital projects that are authorized and active.
And active?
And active, yeah. These are the ones, anything that's authorized with still funds available to spend is on this list.
And active, you go through this list periodically, and
Yes, we do. We have I have a conversation with the department that's in charge of that capital line item, if you will, that capital fund line item, and see where they're going with that. That happens more towards the end of the fiscal year. So if the project is completed and it doesn't look like there's been too much activity in the fiscal year, then we will close that project out
more in a year.
as we do the audit, as we close our books for audit. That's correct.
Thank you.
But while we're talking about, just to put a couple things, there's a fire truck in here. There's the third phase, whatever we want to call it, a rails to trails, phase 4. Fourth phase. Rails to trails in here. There's the Southington Library. There's the roof, the Southington High School roof project. Those are the big ones that are notable in here, just for people who are listening, saying, what on earth are they saying? Any questions, anybody? Okay. And those are already pre-approved, so they shouldn't be shocking.
Well, what would be shocking if we get over budget? I mean, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was a problem, you would have heard from me or probably the town manager. If any of those funds are doing fine.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Going down, capital projects are all set. Any other funds? We have the ARPA. We want to do a summary of the ARPA funds. Right. Here. Do the same thing there. We'll look at it from the bottom and. All right, 12,966, so, 13 million. So we have 13 million of the ARPA funds. And of that, let me see if I could get myself through here. Actual expenditures. We spent 11,362 of 12,966. We're almost spent here.
Correct.
Well, remember, they have to be spent during a certain period of time, but
Yeah.
there's additional projects, but we have not brought them to you yet. So that'll make up the rest of the amounts.
Coming soon.
Because remember, each project we do, it comes to you for a separate vote.
Right, but
Yeah.
these are very small, because you have 11.4 of 13.
Well, we still got over $1 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
All right.
Not included in this yet because we've not had them appropriated yet. So the money is there, the 13 million's there. And I probably, my fault for both of you, because the ARPA projects, we originally got all the ARPA projects approved by this board and the town council. But part of the ARPA projects that I put in place, along with the former finance director and the current finance director, is that each time we appropriate for each project, we come back to you.
Yeah, with the roll
So
call
that-
vote. yeah.
Right, so 20 years from now, when the federal government audits this, we want to make sure there's a good paper trail for it.
Let me just read them again, people are watching and looking at the video at some point. They're going to say, they're talking about ARPA funds. What are they talking about? So, detention, we got ARPA money, right? We used it for detention ponds. We bought street sweepers, a fire ladder truck, the lacrosse field at Panthorn renovated, water projects for the water mains and leads, rec park paving and improvements, the rec park pool and pool house, the recreation park playscape, a pump station,
Old Turnpike Road.
Old Turnpike Road, OTR.
Yep.
Pump station at Pattonbrook, a pump station at Juddbrook, a pump station for Plantsville, it's all sewer pump stations, and a pump station at West Queen, and then we're engaging in some Panthorn Park improvements. So that's where we are, and that's the bulk. That makes up the 11.4 of the allotted 13. So a little bit more to come, but
We still have two big projects left. We still have a truck that we're going to purchase. We'll come to you probably in the next couple of months on that one. And we also have improvements at the parking lot at Western Little League. Those are two more.
Okay.
Those are the biggest of the two.
okay, any questions there from anybody? Okay. I think people know certainly that when the federal government gives us money, it just saves us from having to use local tax dollars to fund them. So we're appreciative in the big sense, but, if we're taxpayers, we're certainly paying for it. Nothing's free. But it is nice to have taken that money in and we used it for stuff that would have ordinarily, it's all stuff we needed. We didn't create anything. All stuff we needed, and if we didn't get the ARPA funds, we would have had to fund it through the capital plan, a similar situation. Okay. Let's go down to our subcommittee reports with an emphasis again on the financial aspect. So sewer.
That'd be me, Mr.
Okay.
Well, I see all this rain. Water is the sewer's kryptonite. So we're going to have some issues. Meeting tomorrow. So unfortunately, the meetings are like a month after the capital project items, some equipment that needs to be purchased, worked on. So biggest thing was there was some delinquent accounts, some older accounts receivable. Unfortunately, we didn't get a full report. Hearing about the rest of that tomorrow at our meeting.
And the water, if excess water goes in, it's a problem. Public Works, Mrs. Mazzarella.
The only action item average over project to BL company, 2,200, 10% contingency recommended by the Director of Public Works based on Public Works.
Just like to, not with the Public Works Committee, but since last Friday, the Public Works crews have been working nonstop, and I just want to make sure publicly, I thanked them at the council meeting, I'll publicly thank them here. between the snowstorm over the weekend and the real issues we've had over the last couple of days, we have a relatively small Public Works crew, and they worked their tails off since last Friday. So hopefully this weekend there's nothing going on and they can get a good rest.
Yeah, we'll echo that thank you, too, from here. That sometimes we don't, I wrote it on Facebook, but this is the right place to say it. Sometimes we expect things to work. When you flush your toilet, you expect the sewer to work. When you drive on the roads, you expect them to be clear and well-maintained. And it doesn't just happen by a miracle, right? It happens because people put themselves out there. I happened to go to dinner Saturday night at Longhorn Steakhouse in town, and I was really happy to see, I don't know who they were, but there were a bunch of Public Works people. I don't know if they were from Southington or they were just from the state, but they put all the tables together, they sat down to enjoy a good meal, and for a moment I thought, we're trying to finish eating so we can go home and get away from the storm. They're having a meal because very soon they're going to go into it. It's a whole different mindset, and I just want to echo the same thing. Last night, I went to Spartans for dinner, and while I wasn't there, I went to dinner too many times. I got to work on that. But in Spartans, there was a whole crew of tree cutters from Lewis Tree Service. They were all in Spartans, and staying in a hotel, having dinner because they too were sent here by their management to look after any trees and related stuff that may happen from the storm. So we just have to always be mindful that there are people doing the opposite of what we're doing, trying to stay home and avoid the bad weather or the problems. There's people out here that are going into the problems. And right in the audience here, we have police and fire. They do the same thing. We run away from trouble and they run towards it, not because they like it, because they're helping us. So a big thank you from every one of us here to Public Works, Public Safety, and those people who run into it on our behalf. So thank you. A little long-winded, but I think well-deserved. Self-insurance.
Open space.
We get a
Sure, Mr.
report?
Chair. Yeah, I'll say,
Open space first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I crossed it off without going to it. Open space, Mr. Pocock.
I don't have anything to report. We got a lot of things in the works, but it's all.
Confidential?
Yeah,
Got to
confidential.
keep it a
Can't
secret.
tell us about it.
Executive, we can't tell you about it.
And the price goes up.
Tell me when I could walk my dogs on it, I'll be happy. If we preserve some open space, it's a good thing. All right, I'm sorry.
It's all good, though. It's all working out well.
Self-insurance.
Mr. Chair, I'll say we meet in 2 weeks, I believe, and we didn't have the updated packet in time to review for this meeting, so I'll ask to hold off on an update until the next Board of Finance meeting next month, and at that point in time, we will have we'll have updated projections for how we stand year to date, and also, I assume, have an updated projection from our consultant with respect to the renewal. So if it pleases the committee or the board, I'll wait until next month.
Everybody good with that? Okay, next month we'll have a more comprehensive report. Economic strike, anything going on?
Me again, the bring to the council tax abatement program. Equipment and so forth that they may purchase and get a tax abatement on that for.
Like an incentive for them to purchase equipment without having the tax burden.
Well, not the full burden, it's like half, 50%.
Yeah. Okay, any questions there? All right. Any other subcommittee, board subcommittees, anything on investments? We saw we're 1.9 million ahead on investment income. That's good. I always go back and credit the folks who were here years ago, and Mr. Bedoyan, who's not here with us now, but being one of them who, as our rainy day fund grew and grew, before we hardly had one, and now we've got excess, during that time saying we should invest this money. And the timing of our revenues tend to come in January and another chunk come in July, and investing that before we need to use it. But this whole management of cash, sources and uses, and investing it now has generated us 1.9 million of income, which is helpful to us. So, anybody go to we still have the Fire Commission liaison positions. Anybody go to a Fire Commission meeting? It's usually Mr. Bedoin or Mr. Pocock.
No, I didn't get there.
We'll keep those there, just if somebody wanted to go and bring back information to us. Mr. Bedoin, Mr. Pocock are the contacts. Did anybody go to any other meetings or anything else they want to report on? Any other town meetings?
I want to make a correction. I'm with the fire liaison,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, not
But-
Mr. Bedoin, no.
No.
You took it,
Kevin-
okay,
Yeah.
good enough. I'll make a note, you know what we should do, we should put the names, we'll put the names on the agenda, so
Yeah,
every term
We
it
used
changes,
we
and
used to do
we,
that, yeah.
we do that, but there was changes in the board, so.
Okay.
I have not added.
we could chat and just,
Yeah.
I'll give you the names.
Send me
we'll
an
put 'em in.
email and I'll
Yep.
include them on the agenda.
And there was supposed to be an IT committee, did they put that together, are we on it, or?
It was appointed by the chair on Monday, and there are no members of the
Okay,
EOF. I think, is this an appropriate time I could just talk about the grand list for a second, or you want me somewhere else?
we'll do it right after, public and board communications.
Okay.
In strategy. Okay, public communications, anybody from the public want to address this board? Right, hearing no one from the public, we'll move on to board member communications, member to member, anything on anybody's mind?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Remember that old Save a Buck program on?
Rescue a Buck.
Rescue a Buck.
Rescue a
Yeah,
Buck.
yeah,
Still
yeah.
around.
Still around.
So we did get an email, I'm sure everybody saw that.
I did not.
Regarding the lights at Anthorn Park, I believe it was.
Absolutely, Mr. LaPre was right on it. There was a power outage over there, so it reset the timers. That was corrected today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing those items up to us, so we can take care of it.
The thing is called Rescue a Buck, but it's used for anything. Anybody who wants to send something in anonymously, it doesn't have to be about it might have started with finance years ago when they called it Rescue a Buck, meaning if anybody knew of any waste or anything they've encountered, they can come forth with it. But it's really for anything. And your your message will come in, it could come in confidentially, it could come in with your name and contact information on it, however you prefer. And it goes to all the town council, Board of Finance, town manager. It's a group of people it goes to, so they could, somebody get a hold of it and take some action on it. It's a good thing. Maybe it needs a new name, but it's pretty much a portal where the public could go out to southington.org and, say something that they want to say to us there.
Another item
Sure.
to bring up, we were given the check online yet?
Let me just double check on that because I was waiting until the Board of Finance members and the town council members had a few days to digest it themselves if they wanted to, through Mark's office. But we will be, if it's not on there, it will be on there very soon on the town's website.
So that the public can go and look at
Yep,
the financial
absolutely.
aspects.
There's also there's also a hard copy like you folks have in front of you tonight in the town clerk's office if anybody wanted to see it in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now under, strategic initiatives, you said the fiscal policies are included in the packet. So now we'll look at those if anybody had we had our little workshop on them. We needed copies, so we have them. And now we could talk about the grand list.
You saw my letter from actually Teresa's letter, which I forwarded to you. The grand list, we had growth. We had $14 million in growth, which is a third of 1%. And I know that we've been spoiled over this last bunch of years, but what really caused it, there were several different things. We had a correction that we had to make up from last year, if you remember correctly. But the other thing, too, is that it was a year later than I thought, but we had a big-time drop-off on motor vehicles. And if you look at that section, you'll see that. What I did notify you, I notified the town council, I notified the superintendent, that we don't have this year, and I always hate starting budget years off like this, but we don't have that $1.3, $1.4, $1.8 million buffer. We have about $400,000, which is substantially less than we've grown accustomed to. In fact, we had a couple of years we started off with a $2-point-something million.
Yep.
before we went off. So that's why I added in there that, remember, that $400,000 will disappear like that in the budget process. So anything above and beyond that becomes taxable to the taxpayers. So it seems like there's never a great budget year, but this one we are starting out a little bit lower than we normally would. So I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. That doesn't mean we're not going to spend money, because we have to spend money.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to operate. But I just wanted you to know that we did very well the last few years. This year caught up with us when it came to motor vehicles. It's not just us. The whole state of Connecticut, the same thing happened, because they're all using that. And we've had inflated numbers for motor vehicles over the last
Yeah, the
couple of years.
last 2 or 3.
2 or 3 years, yeah. So we were benefiting from that, but we did prepare for this kind of hit. So that being said, the grand scheme of things, $14 million on a $46 billion budget, right? $46 billion grand list, or $4 billion, $4.6 billion.
Yeah,
billion dollar
4.6 billion. But if you look at it the other way,
grand. Yeah.
the folks who own the vehicles
Mm-hmm.
will pay less tax on them, and they won't have the tax go up on the existing vehicles.
Well, I wouldn't guarantee
Right, and
that.
I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying
Be
for...
careful with
Yeah,
that.
because
No, no,
the
no,
mill
I
rate
know.
may make it up the
It could be,
difference,
I know one time we had a spike in pickup trucks. The value of SUVs and pickup trucks went up and regular sedans went down. There could be a mix issue.
Yeah.
But we saw something unprecedented the last 3 years, from supply chain issues, the inability, the COVID and inability to get a workforce, whatever it was, the price of vehicles went up. New vehicles became scarce. The price of used vehicles went up. And the people in town who had existing vehicles paid more tax on them the next year than they did the prior year. And there was a lot of concern about that, but the value was what it was. Even if they went to sell them, they would have, look at what the price of a junky pickup truck costs today versus a few years ago. So it's you have the higher value, but you don't want to pay the higher tax. That's, a normal feeling. But I think they'll save there, and the town we're coming out of the gate, we won't have our 2 million starting point
Right.
of revenue.
Very good.
Yeah, okay. But it's good to note it.
And thank the assessor for getting that out.
Actually, normally we're pretty close to the end of January when I get that, so this was quite timely.
So no.
Good, because obviously the BOE's having their workshops next week, so we'll have those numbers out.
Okay, anything else, Jim, you wanted to say about the fiscal policies, other than that they're included?
No, they're all included in the packet. Whenever you folks, if you have any questions on them, please give me a
All right, I'll
call.
just ask everyone to read them and get familiar with them.
Yeah.
Okay, just so everybody in the room, I guess everybody has an agenda. We have a lot of people in the room today. But next item on here is take up the administrative business. There's something called a consent agenda. And I say this all the time, but this is money the town has already received, and all we're doing is appropriating it back to the proper line item so that the department heads could spend it. But the money's already been received. So I'd like to take the consent agenda in all 4 pieces. I'll read them quickly and then ask for a motion on all 4 of them together. Appropriation, $2,134, special revenue, youth services, steps. Appropriation, $50, special revenue, veterans program services. Appropriation, $2,448, special revenue, police vehicle maintenance. Appropriation, $1,175, special revenue, recreation and holiday program services. Do I have a motion for all of those at once?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? All of those carry approved at 5-0 vote. Okay, the next ones, we'll take them, in order. The first one is a contingency transfer, so it's a transfer from the contingency to the general fund for corporation counsel for legal fees, and this relates to our litigation with the ambulance contract. $41,000 even.
Motion to approve?
Motion and a second, any discussion?
I do.
Okay.
When we win the case, do we get our legal fees back?
No,
We don't?
No.
Okay. Sometimes you legal fees,
very seldom, but this is a definite no.
all right, just had to ask.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It carries 5-0. Number 2 is an appropriation of $5 million to the capital fund for the library project. That's the state grant we received.
Correct.
Motion to approve?
Second,
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
it's kind of like money in the bank, so.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't need it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstain? All right, carries 5-0. Number 3, a transfer from contingency, $3,500, the general fund, community celebrations for Memorial Day.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
This needs a little explanation, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, the organization forgot to bill us last fiscal year, so they sent us the bill last week or the week,
Week before.
the week before. So the year's closed out. There's nothing we can do about it. And it's for the veterans organization. It was just a hiccup on their part. So it's got to be moved out of contingency because there's not enough in their line.
Would they bill us for the Memorial Day? What is it?
Yeah,
This is-
in your community celebration section of your budget, you're going to see there's
Two items.
there's 2 items in there. One is for Veterans Day and one is for Memorial Day, and we get billed on those. So normally it works out, but in this particular case, this was for Memorial Day 2023, and
We
of
get
course,
billed by who?
The Legion,
they put programs together.
Yeah.
They put the parade
they
together.
put the
things
parade
like that.
together. They incur their expenses, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Mostly for I believe they're all for the parade expenses, actually.
Most of them, yeah. And then they also do things at each cemetery in town. So
You might
Okay.
notice the flags around Memorial Day, Veterans Day, at all the grave sites of folks who served in the military. They
Okay.
incur.
So they help us coordinate a nice celebration. and-
Absolutely.
it's through the recreation type of budget. So no
Okay.
question.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 comes in 4 parts. It's their departmental transfers. $400 to the general fund building department overtime, $2,600 to the general fund building department overtime, $1,200 to the general fund building department overtime, and $3,100 to the general fund building department overtime.
And those are all coming from accounts within that same building department budget.
Okay, so it's an internal transfer in the building department. Okay,
Well, we need a motion,
I'll make a
yeah, let's
motion.
get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
and I can second it.
Motion, second by Mr. Sanford. Any discussion?
So the building department, I believe, is down a person?
We're now back up to speed, so we should be
Okay.
covered with that. But I am going to see, you may see next year in the budget, because of the fact that they've been so busy, I've authorized some overtime there because we want to make sure we keep it no more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, for the moving of the permits. So next year's budget, maybe you have a little more overtime than you saw this year's budget.
Because I am hearing some grumblings about.
Yep.
Thinking that.
Okay.
So this is
Go
this
ahead.
is the last time we'll need any overtime money? For that missing person?
Yes, for the missing person. We're fully up to staff.
Okay, thank you.
But as you may know, is that building officials are very rare, and they get poached by a lot of different towns. So we are at full staff
Right now.
Right now.
Not easy.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Motion carries 5-0. The next one, a departmental transfer, $3,000, general fund, police department tuition reimbursement.
Making a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain, carries 5-0. The next one is number 6, comes in 5 parts. Departmental transfer, $1,180, general fund, police department regular wages. $1,295, general fund, police department regular wages. $1,400, general fund, police department regular wages. $1,500, general fund, police department regular wages, and $1,000, general fund, police department regular wages.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
This needs a lot of discussion. As you know, during the budget process last year, we had discussions with the police department, the chief, the board, and myself, that we wanted to see where we are at a certain point in the year to see if whether we can bring another police officer on board. Our goal was, with the chief, we met in December, we looked at the budget, and we wanted to see where we were, because remember, this board added $100,000 more in overtime, so we wanted to see where we were going to be to do an extra officer. That being said, I had a meeting with the chief had a meeting with his board, and there is sufficient funds to do that mid-year. We don't normally do it, but I feel, and I'm recommending to you that we do that in a mid-year cycle, which means, of course, we add the officer now. Well, as soon as the chief goes through the process, we add the officer now, and that officer will be part of the budget when I submit the budget for the police come for the July 1
Yeah,
budget.
for that
Yep.
and forever.
And there'll be other things, too. That won't be the
Yeah.
only thing I'll be increasing there. So, my full recommendation, I know the chief's recommendation and the unanimous recommendation of the police commission, and I could also, not to speak for them, but the town council was very much familiar with what we're doing, and they were very much in favor of it, and I expect them to vote yes.
I think we all, or everybody who was on this board too, discussed it last year during the budget cycle in the workshop, so not new to us, and it was always the thinking that come January, or once we know how we're doing in the fiscal year, we'd be in a better position to make a decision.
And just for the public's sake, because this is 6 different areas, a police officer needs equipment, uniforms, et cetera. So each one of the police budget, we're adding to each one of those lines. There's money already in the regular wages to do it, but we took money out of the regular wages to supplement each one of those lines for which the officer has to be given equipment for, et cetera.
And I think,
For the new officer, and we're not taking money out of the regular wages because there's sufficient money in the regular wages to handle the officer till the end of the budget cycle.
So it's really, ultimately, it's the authorization to move forward with a hire.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries 5-0. What does that bring us, 73, Chief?
Yes.
73. It'll bring us to 73 police officers, certified police officers, when we, are fully staffed. Okay. Next one, no transfers, town manager authority transfers, okay. Any other business to come before the board? Anybody have any other business to bring before us? Okay. We're going to move to executive session then.
Very good.
All right.
Motion to move into executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session. The time is 7:37. We have a motion. We need a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Why we're going in? We're going in to discuss police and fire safety and security requests. Who we're going to have in executive session is any member of the administration of the police department, the fire department, and the police commission, the fire commission, the board of finance, the manager, and finance director.
Let me be specific.
All right.
We have Lieutenant, no, I promoted him last time, but John's coming in, the chief's coming in, the chairman of the police commissioner's coming in, we have the assistant chief, the assistant chief and the chief of the fire department, they'll all be coming in.
Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back out after and resume
We will
the meeting.
take, we will take the minutes from Mr. Bose, okay, so you're free to go.
Sure.
No, we're not doing it that way.